Happy freaking Friday, guys. It's Wolfbrother Mythos from Wolfbrother Hobbies, and it is good to see you guys tonight. What is up, beautiful people? It's a quarter past the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Hope everyone's doing all right tonight. It is good to see y'all here, Mr. Fish. Hope you're doing well, brother. Codex will be out soon. We got to get together for a discussion of some orcs. So you let me know if you want to try and make a live, or if we should sit down and do a pre-recorded, my brother. I would love to have an orc aficionado on the tournament scene. Yeah, that would be present to talk about some changes in the orc codex. Of course, we've seen the codex, leak so far, but the official codex will be out soon. I've got to start off my Friday night show with an iced coffee. It's been an interesting week, guys. It's been an interesting week. Oh, yes, we do talk to the wife, find out which works best. Awesome. And it's been a hell of a week for the community as far as, absolute legends that have departed. A childhood villain in almost every movie, and of course the Red Alert games. Tim Curry, rest in peace to him. Of course, Dolly Parton, beloved by all, especially amongst the country community. One of my favorite shows used to be Heroes. So, rest in peace to Hayden Panettiere from Heroes. And of course, we said goodbye to the absolute legendary Peter Cullen, one of my favorite heroes of all time, since I was a small lad. So, yeah, it's been kind of a sad week, guys. That's 4 taken from us. That could be a second set of 3 started. Let's hope not. Darklight Dreamer, good evening, my brother. John Paul, good to see you. Misadventures of Mr. Fish. Yeah, honestly, the new codex has me excited because paperback means I can take it to Kinko's and get it spiral bound. Very nice. I've been sad all week with Heroes passing. Yeah, I got to say, Peter Cullen's hit me the hardest. Man, like, don't get me wrong. As a fan of Heroes, Hayden Pantiere's hit me. Of course, even though I've never been into country music, but Dolly was always just a bright spot of sunshine, but then, of course, young favorite. Well, I say young favorite, which is always Rocky Horror. The man of range himself from, I guess you can't really say he wasn't a villain in Rocky Horror, but the range of his villainy in Tim Curry, and then of course, I think that one hit me so hard because the death of Optimus Prime was probably the childhood, the childhood hero death that hit me the hardest as a kid. And so I feel like I'm reliving that feeling from being a kid, hearing the man himself. Trying to deal with terrorists. I live in Canada, lost 3 sponsors because of yours. I'm so sorry to hear that, my friend. Sponsors, you say? Are you a YouTuber? Go to channel. You are a YouTuber. Why am I not subscribed to you? There we go. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. That is tough. Tim Curry's always had a special place in my heart. His laughs were iconic. I was trying to think of my favorite roles of Tim Curry, and of course, Legend has to be one of them. Use it to build models. Okay, yeah, I see some. Every time I hear Linkin Park, I think of the line, "I am Optimus Prime." I am subscribed now, my friend, so I can see you build your models. That's awesome. Yeah, I apologize for not being subscribed to you before. But also, am I remembering correctly? Wasn't Tim Curry also like the Cardinal in either Three Musketeers or Man in the Iron Mask? I feel like he was playing a Cardinal at some point. Okay, yes. In the Three Musketeers. Okay. I think I remember the iconic scene where, the Three Musketeers confront him and draw their swords. He just turns and runs in a dramatic fashion. He's so good at being over the top drama. Build models for 60 plus years, stop till things change. Understandable, my friend. Understandable. Hexus Infern Goalie was my favorite. Toxic Love was a beggar. Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize that was him in Fern Goalie. That's cool. Tim Curry gave me Clownophobia. He's amazing for giving 110% to like the tiniest cameo in some throwaway B movie. It was indeed Three Musketeers. Thank you, Frankie. Yeah, that is definitely how I wanted to open up, was giving paying homage to those great legends. And Peter Cullen has not only voiced Optimus Prime in many variations of Transformers. I'll always think of him as the Generation 1 Optimus Prime, especially since like the movie was so good that here we are like 30 years later, and I still every year around my birthday watch the movie. It'll probably be earlier this year because I think I want to watch it this weekend. Just in as a tribute. But also some of my other childhood favorites, like Karan from Zordon, which, if you've watched the remake, I love the Voltron remake by Netflix, but the remake Karan is a very different creature to Peter Cullen's Karan. But yes, Peter Cullen had some great voices. Also, I feel like I haven't seen Legend in a hot minute, but I feel like that is a classic nobody talks about. And I mean, having Tim Curry as the devil himself is just too perfect for someone who is a king of playing villains. Clownophobia, funnily enough, I have never actually. That's something I should do for a Tim Curry tribute, is actually sit down and watch the original It this weekend. I've never actually seen it because I wasn't allowed to as a kid. And then just like time went on and I never went back and watched it. The most Tim Curry watched movie in this house is probably Tim Curry's Muppet Treasure Island. Yes. Long John was as soft as he was vile. And man, again, that last course. Yes, Peter Cullen from days of long ago, in uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend. The legend of Voltron. Loved by good, feared by evil. Yes, the beginning of the iconic beginning to Voltron. Peter Cullen. Yes, Darklight. I hear it now. Also, my little brother Locke sent me a Toonami beginning to remind me that Peter Cullen was one of the voices of the Toonami intros. Those like really cool, epically like dramatic readings of anime synopsis before the show would come on different Toonami, including Gundam Wing, um, and a few other anime. Like yeah, so I binged some Toonami openings this week too. So I gotta say something I was thinking hard about because I was thinking about it while I was at the gym yesterday, and it kind of hit me here, made me a bit sad. Peter Cullen now, Robert Miles, which he's not very well known, but he is one of the original kings of techno and trance music. So Peter Cullen, Robert Miles, Chester Bennington, obviously, and Jason David Frank. Those were many of my childhood heroes. That is the majority of my childhood heroes. Perhaps my most impactful childhood heroes. So, and you know, it's very melancholic to think about how they're all gone now. These heroes that I grew up with. So I'm interested in what are some of the heroes you guys have here in the chat, especially like you know when we think of childhood heroes. Do you guys kind of hold in that same esteem? You know, be interested to hear what you guys think. Yes, Robert Miles' Fable is a classic. Thank you, Frankie. It's always good to meet somebody else who knows Robert Miles. There is an interview I watched not too long ago with the singer of Fable. And I agree, Darklight. I love that whole album. There's an interview with the singer of Fable who talks about her experience sitting down with Robert Miles and, you know, kind of talking through Fable and the music coming together. Yes, Dreamland definitely was a huge change in my life. My favorite is number 7, Princess of Light. Children is the song that got me into Robert Miles. Um, yeah, some really great classics there. So yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you guys' like childhood heroes you really look up to that way might be. I remember Darklight Dreamer and I, when we were kids, learned a lot of, or that's how we got started in martial arts. Was okay. Workout tapes used to be a thing back in the day, everybody. And I know a lot of my audience is older people, so of course, you know, I don't have to explain to you guys what VHS is. Um, but yeah, so with the whole workout tape craze, and our mom was an aerobics instructor, and especially for that kind of time period, you know, as anyone who was hyper focused on aerobics like she was, she had a bunch of exercise videos, VHSs that she collected, and she would like, you know, hyper focus and study them and incorporate, you know, different um, workout routines and techniques into her classes and stuff like that. But in that same vein, event at one point she picked up Power Rangers, a couple of Power Rangers VHS instructional videos from Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger. There was the Green Ranger kata, there was the White Ranger kata, and Darklight and I, that was basically our start into learning martial arts, is by learning a couple of katas from Jason David Frank's training videos. And of course, you know, after that, we did some more training and learning. And that all started with what we started with it, those tapes. That was our first real learning of martial arts, which was cool. So yeah, it's good to think about, childhood heroes who had an impact on our life. I kid you not, after growing up with Power Rangers and influences like Jason David Frank, since then, since he was like our first virtual sensei, I have come across moral quandaries in my life ever since I was, a young teenager all the way to now, still, where I have moral quandaries come up and I think to myself, okay, what would a ranger do? Isn't that kind of funny? It's a little silly, but it's just funny that effect that had on me. Anyways, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. We're going to get into, of course, a hobby. Bruce Campbell. Oh, Bruce Campbell. Absolutely. I like weird cult films. Very cool. Oh, man. In that same kind of humor as Bruce Campbell, also, I think of Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. Okay, so me, Darklight, and my other brother Cloud, we have this thing when we're in dangerous situations where things could go sideways and it's a high stress, high pressure situation. It's become our defense mechanism to calmly crack jokes, not because the situation isn't important or that we could get hurt, but we call it lethal weaponing. That was our, from influences like Bruce Campbell and Mel Gibson in those movies, where it's like a very tense moment, and that's kind of your quiet humor is a defense, a way to ease the tension before something important happens or could happen. So definitely, I feel that. I feel that. Cheesy one-liners. Bruce Campbell's such a great uh, nostalgic trip. Love that horror comedy is making a comeback too. Yeah, definitely. I feel like it never really fool you in a way. They're on like what, getting I think the 17th or 18th, scary movie. So there's always been like some vein keeping it going. It's getting close to that season, guys. You know who does horror really well? I've always been impressed with A24 horror movies, and I am looking forward to watching some more of that this Halloween. All right, hobby progress, guys. Sonic Wave, good evening, Zion, my brother. Just sitting here and doing some reminiscing with the fam here. So the only real progress this week is an update to my Knight Destrier. He is looking much better than just the two-tone blue and silver that he was last week. He's got his golds on him. He's got some brass done on the back because all of that blue and silver was looking just so plain in the back here. He had nothing going on. So we broke up a lot of those metallics with some bronzes. We did the wires in reds, which I think is enough to, make it not look like just a big block of silver. Even though it's like all machinery back there, you got to vary it up somehow. Came around, we painted the spear. And you guys know I like to do my black to purple to pink power weapon effects, like on the hammer here that will never focus. I don't know why I'm showing you guys. Actually, the swords are probably a better example because they're more surface area. There we go. So very dark to lighter purple to pink. Yeah, so that's kind of the same kind of thing I'm going to go for the spear here. And then just to give the weapon some balance, I think I'm going to take the same necro gold color and that kind of spike in the middle of the spear. I'll probably trim that out in the same gold, so we'll have some necro gold at the back and necro gold at the front. I gotta say, some metallics I am loving at the moment. For anyone who's interested in trying maybe some new golds, I still haven't found, I have to say, as many brands of paint as I've tried, I still have yet to find a silver I like more than Lead Belcher. I've tried several brands, but so far I haven't found one I like more. But for golds, for my red golds that I like, my very warm, kind of orangey red golds, I've really been on my Space Wolves. I've been enjoying Greedy Gold by Warpaints Fanatics by the Army Painter. But for the pale gold I use here on my Custodes and my Imperial Knights, it is Scale 75 Metal and Alchemy Necro Gold. So, good stuff, good stuff. I like the very specific tones you can get with these brands of gold. That thing looks amazing. Thank you so much, Darklight. I love my big stompy robots, and I've only played them twice in my whole life. So I really want to make a go of playing Knights this edition. So this has really just come down to doing the power weapon effect, the heat bloom. I want to do a very tiny heat bloom here on the barrel of the machine gun up here. I think it's a heavy stubber. And then I want to do a heat bloom. I always do a heat bloom on the vents for the power pack here in the back. So, and I think this one will be ready to rock and put on the table. I think the blue and the gold look great together. I really appreciate it, brother. I've always loved that combination, and so whenever I decided to paint up my Knights, I decided that's the combination I want. I'm giving you guys a little too much of my messy desk here. Let's point it back this way. Hobby updates. Been getting back into Pokemon ROM hacks. Bought an Anthor. Bought my custom firmware 3DS back to life. Found out how to play Steam games from my phone. That is a lot. Anthor is a really cool pocket device. It folds in half, has double screen, very similar to a 3DS, but like bigger. I'd say it looks even bigger than the XL. But it plays all kinds of things from like PlayStation games. Is it just PS1, PS2? How strong does that thing go, Darklight? But it plays a lot of video games on such a small handheld device. Did not make hobby progress this week. I decided to hijack an airbrush. I decided I need to hijack an airbrush to base coat my Land Raider. Sponge chop was not working for me. Well, experimentation is still progress. So, and that's good to know for me too. Man, some of the pros here on YouTube, like Mediocre Hobbies, make the sponge chop look so easy. But it's good to know in advance that there can be some challenges. It'll play all Switch pretty much. That's cool. Speaking of which, this week I picked up Persona 5 Royal. For my Switch, it was on sale for like $15. So I'm pretty hyped about that. I literally just did the prologue so far, but I'm going to be getting into that a little bit more. Oh, something else this week. I made some progress on my Wolf Lord here. I mean, not Wolf Lord, Battle Leader here. Hopefully we get a proper Wolf Lord this edition. Focus. Focus. Maybe. But you can see I've got the power weapon done. I've done all the bits of, I mean, it's not going to focus, so I don't know why I'm trying to say you can see, but I've got all the little trinkets done, the knives, the pelts, the tilt shield. The necklace is painted. It does need a wash and maybe some highlights. There's like a couple of leather pieces, like the holster and the strap around his dagger sheath, and the back of his cloak still needs to be painted. The inside of his cloak is intentionally black. I'm trying to debate. I think I want to, well, let's say I wanted to do the back of the cloak white to match the pauldron of the blood moths. Hey, Ashley, good to see you. But I don't know if I should leave that for the Wolf Lord. We don't have a proper Wolf Lord yet, but you know, I gotta imagine that's got to come at some point, right? Plus, I have a few captain models to paint up, so we'll see. I'm still thinking about that. If not, maybe I'll give him the traditional red cloak. Still debating. Still debating. Very cool, Persona 5 Royal. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The AIM Thor will pretty much play all Switch games. It'll even play Wii games on a TV with the Wiimotes if you had a real Wii with the right peripherals. Nice. Gamers with Coffee did an extra show with Ashley doing some painting this week. That was pretty cool. Definitely recommend everybody checking out Gamers with Coffee. They pop up here on this in the chat from time to time, thanks to Nightbot. Also, I'm pretty sure I can just do coffee. Let's see if it'll populate. There we go. Oh, that'll pop up their coffee link. I forgot. Well, if I just put in Greg. So if you would like to buy some nerdy themed coffee, they do have an affiliate link with Bones Coffee, including Fallout themed coffee, which you know, I'm very into Fallout. I love some Fallout. And yeah, and so I used their link to buy some Fallout coffee. It was very good coffee. So you can check that out. And then where I type in Greg, there's their channel. You check out our friends Greg and Ashley. So you can make sure you head on over and check out their channel. They also do a hobby coded live stream, usually once every other week, like the first and third Sunday of the month. But every once in a while, they'll drop in an extra live stream, which is pretty cool. They actually did a painting stream not too long ago, and she was for a while streaming some Fallout. I don't know if she's still going to do any more of that. Maybe she'll let us know in the chat. Space Wolves will probably get a few character models this edition since they just got more of a range refresh last time. I'm hoping so. I'm like mostly hoping for a new Bjorn. And I say mostly because honestly, and this is on me because I've been playing Space Wolf since 7th edition, but I just got around to painting my Bjorn towards the end of last year or maybe early this year. No, it was when the Space Wolf box first came out. I painted my Bjorn, so I feel like I just painted him. Finishing up my Titan, I have one Pew Pew left to paint. Very nice. But yeah, so yeah, I feel like just not too many months ago. I mean, not too many games ago for sure. I think I've only put him in a couple of games since I painted him. But recently, I finished painting up Bjorn. So while part of me really wants a good looking, current size Bjorn because he looks so small compared to every other dreadnought. So on the other hand, it's like then I got to start over and paint, build and paint one again. And again, that's my fault because he was just prime black for so many years. Greg is painting his Titan now. What up, Greg? I need some coffee right now, actually. I got some iced coffee for you right here, Darklight. Who took my dice? Brother Steve. I have to work in the morning, have a great stream, and keep on being awesome. You keep on being awesome, my brother. Okay. Unfortunately, not a lot of progress this week. One battle leader, mostly done. I need to find his shield. I have been searching my desk because I've intentionally left the shield off um, for painting, and I had it blue tack. There's still some blue tack around, the nub where his shield goes, and I cannot find where it is on my desk anywhere. So I might have to find a replacement shield for him. I got bored of Fallout 4. I'll be starting New Vegas in the next week. Okay, very cool. That iced coffee shaking sound is a beautiful sound, right? It's funny because I don't know if you guys have ever seen the meme video of, can anyone tell me a better sound than this? And then everybody's posts like, their own thing, which is their thing of a better sound. And there's definitely Warhammer versions of that, like the sound of the sprue box, of new models being shaken and stuff like that. And I agree. I love the sound of a good box of Warhammer minis. However, as a big coffee fan who loves his iced coffee, I love hot coffee and iced coffee, but anytime after the morning, I prefer iced coffee. I definitely love that sound. You shook that cup, and Greg's ears perked up. Do not get him too excited. Nah. Greg is a man after my own heart in regards to coffee. I saw someone play Fallout 4 on the Thor. Oh my gosh, it can handle a current game as the Fallout. Well, I mean current-ish as Fallout 4. That is cool. I say current-ish because like even my newer PC from I guess I guess not newer. It's about 2 years old, but still, even it can have some like it still feels it when I run Fallout 4 for sure. My hobby this week was saving my soul. I should have known folks were going to die after my carry case fell. Ugh. Also, Mr. Fish is drinking some iced coffee now. Nice. Oh, that's cool. If you play Fallout 4 on the Thor, the Pip-Boy UI is on the bottom screen. You don't have to switch out over to a menu. Very nice. That is cool. Well, guys, there has been a ton of Warhammer news this week, and most of it revolving around, I say most of it, okay, let me rephrase that. Most of it that I paid attention to, if I'm being honest, revolved around a lot of the Space Marine changes. And don't get me wrong, I love all my armies. You guys see I play Knights. I love my Orcs. Admittedly, I didn't play them all 10th edition. I think part of that was because I was so mad how much they nerfed Gaz in the last edition. I'm so jealous of you people with the iced coffee. Oh, man. Well, it's almost time for you to get off work. So, I mean, you got to survive the trip home, but... Oh, you'll definitely need some coffee tomorrow, though. Working a double. But, yeah, I play Orcs. I have Admech. I have Custodes. I play a lot of armies. I also have Sisters, who is still kind of new in box. I've got upcoming Iron Warriors, but Space Marines is Space Marines are my favorite. I'm definitely biased in that way. In fact, I own multiple Space Marine armies. I have Space Wolves, my absolute favorite, right? I've got Ultramarines. I've got White Scars, Dark Angels, right? I play my White Scars as Dark Angels because the Black Knights are the best biker army in the game. Let's just be honest. And White Scars should also be one of the best biker armies. So I play my White Scars as Dark Angels. I have a smidge of Blood Angels. And yeah. Other than that one unit, I saved everything minus one tiny lever on the Stampa, replaced with a valve. That was a great flex on my current hobby skills. Oh, yes. Okay, I posted a picture to some of you earlier this year that there was a a crash of one of my boxes, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I had everything magnetized to a tray inside a plastic carry case. I never got around on just that one, just that one case. I never got around to gorilla taping the plastic or the metal tray to the bottom of the plastic carry container, and that was the only box that fell. Not that I wanted more boxes to fall, but it just happened to be that one that wasn't protected with the gorilla tape, right? And so, anyways, that one box fell, came crashing. It fell over onto its head, and that metal tray smacked the minis against the roof of the plastic container, which hit the floor. And my Calvary, it was the box of my Thunderwolf Cavalry, which, by the way, has long been my favorite miniatures in the game. And just like arms, heads, backpacks exploded off the miniatures. And I mean, most of them were in like obvious to glue areas, like where the shoulder meets the body. But then, like some of them, especially like the custom kit bashes and stuff like that, my Chaplain on bike Thunderwolf conversion, built off of one of Russ's wolves, exploded in like 6 pieces. And there were some that were complex. Hey, Gamesburger. There were some that were complex breaks, like the Crozius is an old Dark Angel's flail, and it snapped at the hand. It snapped underneath the hand. It snapped at the head, right where the mace head is, and I think one of the little chains got messed up, and so that took like a lot of like detailed fixing. But yeah, and like backpack, one of his whole legs came undone, and the saddle, and it was a mess. It was a real mess. I think that there was an issue with one of the chains that holds the saddle together. But anyways, saying all that to say is that's something I worked on this week that I did not have here to show you guys. But that's a lot of damage. Big ouch for sure, for sure. And I have been for a few months just because I was so upset at the time. I just picked up the box and put it into the closet, set it out of mind. Like I saw all the pieces inside, and like I didn't have the emotional capacity to fix it right then. I was just like, okay, I need to set this out of the way. But somewhere, hey, brother Atlas, good to see you. Yeah, so over the last month or two, I've been, I pulled out the box because I was looking for something, and while I had it open, I started fixing like the obvious stuff, this arm goes here, this shoulder goes here, but this week the big focus was the more complex breaks. So after a lot of work and pinning, and some things that were just like a little bit of like shoving green stuff into places, primer coating over it, and kind of like matching the paint a bit, which is not as much work as it seemed because it was places of flat black armor since he's a chaplain, to try and hide some damage and stuff like that. Finally, all my Thunder Wolves are salvaged and back together. So that was a big hobby win. That was like some delicate work this week. Also, I got to give a shout out to Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor for recommending one of these pin vices from Amazon, because I was having trouble with my Army Painter one going off center, and I thought it was just me. Try a new pin vise, which I didn't try it for that reason. I wasn't going to blame the tool for my error. However, I did find it with, but that one was getting the screw that holds the head to the body of it doesn't lock tight anymore, and so every time I'm drilling the hole, the head comes off sometimes, and I got to fix it again and drill a little more, and then fix the head again, drill a little more, fix the head again. So, anyways, I bought a new pin vise, and it was so much easier with the newer pin vise to drill nice straight holes where I could easily line up like the center of the mace handle with the center of the mace shaft with the center of the mace head. Yes, all my Thunderwolves are put back together. So just in time for them to get refreshed this edition. And possibly get Legends out. But yes, they are back together, so I can start putting them in lists again. So, anyways, saying all that to say, I feel you on doing some flexing your hobby skills to save models, Mr. Fish. That is another thing I've been doing this week, was saving some miniatures. So, anyways, going back to what I was saying, Space Marines are my favorite army. We got a bunch of changes to look at this week. They made some major announcements. Okay, I'm going to ease us in with the first one. First one is an easy article. Let's look at some pretty pictures. I think we can all do that, right? Space Marine Captain on bike. Amazed that parts were not lost to the void. Thankfully, when it fell and everything broke, the lid stayed on. So it broke, but thankfully all the parts were self-contained. So that was something I got really lucky on. So we have this cool new Space Marine Captain on bike, cape flowing in the wind. Everybody, I mean, we got the extra purity seals. We got some bling with the eagle head on the front, eagle wings along the side. It's kind of crazy because, well, not crazy, but it's good to see, because like we saw with the Vanguard veterans, a lot of people, myself included, felt like maybe, there wasn't enough on the veterans to denote them as different from the jump pack intercessors other than their special weapons, right? There's a little bit of bling there, but there's not a lot. However, on these guys, nope. There we go. On this guy here, this captain definitely has a lot more ornamentation. The helmet, the bracer, the iron halo, this big old symbol here. It's kind of thickums, but it's fine. But some purity seals. This one's definitely a lot more blinged out. You can even have them holding the pistol and stow away a weapon like the sword. And when you have it holstered, you could say it's a chain sword, power sword, whatever. No big deal. I like the Thunder Hammer option, though. That I think is really cool. Even the heads, it's very rare these days for us to see a Space Marine kit where you get plenty of extra bits. But we're getting several weapon options here, including a Thunder Hammer, plasma pistol, power sword, chain sword, and we've got 4 head options here, which are pretty cool. And honestly, so if I bought a Space Marine, if I bought one of these captains, it would definitely go in my white scars. And I don't think this one here will look out of place as a Space Asian for my white scars. Especially, many of you know I'm Asian. I'm half Thai, proud of my Thai heritage. This guy doesn't look a million miles away from my uncle, if I'm being honest. Not as dark as my uncle, but he kind of looks like Uncle Nick a little bit. So, what do you think, Darklight? I think he could pass for an Uncle Nick character. Love to hear that. Those poor puppers need some love. Absolutely. A Spasian. Exactly, Gamesburger. A Spasian. So yeah, it's good to see a nice variety of head options here. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. 5 head options, right? Because we got these 3 unhelmeted heads. We've got the one with the crest here, and then I forgot up here is the one with the laurels. So 5 head options. I can count. And since most of us are going to put a, go with the melee weapon option, that means we get a plasma pistol for a future kit bash. Now, here's one of the things I'm wondering. Okay, I'm wondering a couple of things. How I wish there was a lieutenant on bike now, because this is kind of helping. Okay, this is kind of helping to start the Outriders punching up, because Outriders have needed some help since they were launched. They were good for clearing out light chaff of possibly firstborn Marine equivalent or lower. Your 1 wound tactical squads back when it was 1 wound. Your Eldar Guardians, Guardsmen, your Termagants, occasionally an Orc Boy if you took them with the Chaplain, because the Chaplain could give you Lance, help you take out those Toughness 5 guys, but they were very, very specific at mowing through light chaff between all their bolter shots. Don't get me wrong, they got a lot of bolter shots. They got a lot of hits with the chain swords. They didn't do very much damage, though. They were like a lot of dice rolling for very little effect. And so most people didn't take them. And so now with the captain, captains always have a great melee profile, especially with Thunderhammers being an option. Or if you just want to go stick with the horde, mowing through horde, having the cleave rule with the power sword, I think, is also going to help you mow numbers down. I'm not so sure cleave was exactly the way to go, though, because again, Outriders, they roll a lot of hits with not a lot of outcome. So, I mean, I guess if you're committing to that for them taking out chaff, that's a thing, or horde armies in general. But so what I was saying is the Space Marine Captain is going to help you punch up a little bit. The bikes we know are going to start getting sergeant weapons. So that is 2 places where we're going to start getting some more melee punch. Okay, and then getting cleave is going to be more situational if you put them into units with stuff. But if you're hoping that they'll punch up against something like elites or vehicles, you're getting still limited value in return, which again could be helped by a chaplain. But the thing is that a chaplain is a leader and a captain is a leader. So, right? Am I crazy? I don't think the squad that's here featured could go together. Right? I'm not crazy, right? I started this off by saying, Space Marines are my favorite. Darklight, your message, is that something I need to read now, or is that for later? I don't mind stopping to read now. Just let me know what the intent was. All right, data sheets. Chaplain on bike. Unless they change his role in the new codex. I guess that's also... Yeah, he is a leader. So as it stands now, these 2 can't go together. And so while it would be cool if they had Lance and the captain, and then they would all benefit from the same profile, I think that'd be great. I think that'd be wonderful. But as it stands now, it'd be cool to have, if you can manage to get lethal hits, though. Obviously, there's no bike lieutenant. There are some rules, though, like in, I think there's several stratagems out there that you can gain lethal hits. Okay, I'm pretty sure there's one in Saga of the Great Wolf. If you can gain lethal hits, you're going to get extra hits for cleave anytime there's 5 or more models. You're going to get lethal hits to punch up. You'll get devastating wounds from the hammers on the sergeant and the captain. And all of a sudden, it's starting to come together. Boom, boom, boom. So I think this has potential, and it would be great if they changed a rule in the future to let you take the chaplain and the captain on bike together. That would be cool. I don't see that happening, but that would be really cool. And overall, do I need a captain on bike? For the way I play my White Scars now, no. But would I want to paint one up for my White Scars? Absolutely. So that's the easy one. We look at pretty model. Pretty model looks cool. What do you guys think? Now we get to the big stuff, though. We started out tonight's episode by talking about loss. And obviously, Toy Soldiers is not the same kind of losses we were talking about earlier. It's not even in the same ballpark. However, let's talk about the things that we are losing in the Army going forward. We'll skip past the big news. We'll save the big news for later. So, these are all the things that are being lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, 17 data sheets. That is huge. Boom, boom, boom. 17 data sheets. And what's even crazier is this is the first time we're seeing something called legendary proxies, which is kind of bittersweet because it means you can still get some use out of your older beloved models. Your tactical squad officially, per GW rules, can count as an intercessor squad. Devastator squad can count as a desolation squad. The suppressor squad can count as your inceptors. It seems like most likely that would have to count as a bolter kind of interceptor, but inceptor squads. Pedro Cantor is now just a captain, and oh my god, this one hurts me. Uriel Ventress counts as a captain. This one feels weird, guys, because it says these will get Legends rules. Okay. It says that after these entries here. So a lot of people theorize that means these legendary proxies are not going to get Legends rules. That they will only count as these counts as options. And I think this might be the first time that they've ever just flat out said, or the closest that they've come to it, saying, we're removing something and you're not ever going to get Legends rules for it, which feels bad. I'm not going to lie, that feels very bad. I'm not sure why that is, but I know I, for myself, am going to need to learn a different way to play my Ultramarines, because my favorite thing to do was to take Uriel Ventress, give his deep strike ability to Marnius Calgar, and a full squad of 6 aggressors, drop them in the middle of the table, and basically have them fight to hold the center of the table. And I can still do that if I take Orbital Assault as my detachment. But that is a completely, that's a detachment I'm completely unfamiliar with. I need to look, I need to look it up. It's something for me to learn. So again, this tactic is going to be viable, but losing Uriel Ventress is just oof. And I mean, Brother Atlas can tell you, Uriel Ventress made his points back every game not only with his deep strike ability, but just leading a simple unit of my home objective intercessors has been a great counterpunch for any time like his Imperial Guard units would move up and take objectives on my side of the table. Not saying he didn't often, eventually overpower Ventress and the team and take my home point from me. But like, there's been several times where like Uriel Ventress has slain like a 10-man squad of guard by himself, and then his intercessors pitch in some work. Okay, maybe not the full 10-man, but like 7. So yeah, he did good. There was and then a couple of times where like he knocked out like 7 guardsmen by himself. Then the intercessor squad did some, and then he shot and charged with another one of his guardsman unit. And then after that, after he did like the work the first turn, for some reason after that I kept whiffing all of his attacks. And he wasn't taking out anyone, and the squad sergeant was the one taking out models. Like, and Atlas and I were just joking that after he'd led the charge and got all the first kills, he was basically sitting back and telling the other guys like, "That's how you do it. Now you guys try. Your turn." It's fun. It was fun. So yeah, the fact that I can't even like, often when I see these Legends rules, I'm like, yeah, but I'm still going to play them in friendly games. Grumpy Guy Gaming. Hello, my friend. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for stopping by. I miss your face, Grumpy. But yeah, the fact that my favorite captain is not going to get rules in Legends, that feels extra bad. And I'm sure, the Crimson Fist players feel even worse since their captain is going away. He's like the only Crimson Fist guy, right? Why would they take the only character from the from the Crimson Fist? I'm not sure, guys. I don't know what's going on here. That's something you shouldn't miss. I miss that face. Oh, Centurion Assault Squad, Centurion Devastator Squad. Those are pretty huge. Those have off and on still had current day spots in the meta. It's funny. Everybody who covered this on their channel all mention like, well, we had to message Paul that Paul is bad at stuff. If you're not familiar with Paul is bad at stuff, his channel has been largely based for the last couple of years on running very Centurion assault heavy armies. To one point where he was running a full 18 Devastator, Centurions at tournaments and stuff like that. So like dedication to his favorite model. And they are gone now. The Razorback is gone. The Predator Destructor, and this one hurts me, the Predator Annihilator. A lot of people give this firstborn tank some love, but the Predator Annihilator is another thing that earned its points back every game for me. It was with 3 las cannons, 2 and then 1 twin link las cannon, that get rerolls against. I'm pretty sure they got rerolls against vehicles and monsters. Yeah, but yeah, 3 las cannons, one of them twin link. And for the price of a firstborn tank, it's cheap as chips and always earns points back. Always took down some kind of vehicle in the game, and that's gone now. Again, I can still play it in friendly games, but that was one of the power tools in my Ultramarines. And then the Vindicator. This one really hurts because I painted it up, and then I stopped playing Ultramarines, and that's partially on me, because I play so many armies instead of sticking with them. But my Vindicator, I just want to grab it. I painted it up. I just want to show it off to you guys because I never did anything with it. I don't know if I even ever did a showcase on this. I might have to remedy that. We just knocked off the Storm Bolter, but it's okay. Anybody else do this? Keep a house painting brush around just for the purpose of dusting off your minis? I live with dogs and cats, and so dust can accumulate fast around here. And so I always keep a big old house painting brush for that purpose. Pop back over to me for a second. Yep. My Vindicator has never seen the tabletop yet. And now he's being sent to Legends. Thankfully, though, my friends are cool with Legends. So whenever I'm playing just a friendly game, you know, I can still run it. I just can't take him to the store no more. Well, I say no more, but again, I haven't ever pulled them out, so. I have a dusting brush. Okay. What does that look like? The Vindicator leaving is roughly a lot of feathers. That is something that's crazy to, I mean, is like very surprising to me, but definitely maddening for a lot of people. I don't know if I've ever seen them remove a model that is a major component of the meta in the middle of its time in the sun, shining in the meta from the game before. I use a large makeup brush for dusting off models, soft enough to not damage the paint. Ah, good point. Good point. Maybe if I was using one of those, I wouldn't have knocked off the Storm Bolter a second ago. So, yeah, the Vindicator's huge. Like, it just blows my mind. Why would they pull something that is in the middle of being, you know, top tier right now? But I guess it's because they're getting rid of most of the Rhino chassis, but they didn't touch the Rhino itself. So, I don't know. Oh, I said 17. Oh, there it is. The Whirlwind. I forgot this thing was still around because nobody ever takes them anymore. In fact, I put up my Whirlwind already. The Dreadnought, the box Dread, is finally gone. The Stormhawk Interceptor, the Storm Talon gunship, and the Storm Raven gunship are all leaving. So, Keegan, my friend, I remember you were thinking about adding one to your army. I would not invest in a Storm Raven at the moment. Well, and then again, you guys just play friendly games. You should be fine. And the Hammerfall Bunker. The Hammerfall is interesting because it is a new Primaris time period miniature. Ventress is a Primaris model. And the suppressors are Primaris models. So I was not expecting to see the end of any Primaris models so early. I thought for sure they would do all of the firstborn models and then the next go around start purging, you know, Primaris models. And I honestly didn't even think it was getting close to time yet. So that is surprising for me. Do you guys have any favorites that are coming off of the list? Is there anything y'all are taking personally? The Predator hurts for me because, like I said, I took the Predator Annihilator every single game of my Ultramarines. Always did a great job. You know, it's like that meme. You know, the meme where Death is walking one of the miniatures away. You know, was I a good take? You were the best. Greg wanted one of the bunkers. The bunker looks cool. I have to say, there is something, even though there was a time period, a short, very, very short window, there was a time when it first came out that it had some good rules and the bunker was very good at first. But one thing I have learned that I would never invest in, from what I've learned of this game, is to never invest in fortifications or basically terrain pieces with rules, because they're almost always at some point good at the beginning, and they are very, very, the rules for them are very, very quickly discontinued afterwards, if not nerfed first. There was one, I would still love to get my hands on this piece that I loved from 7th edition. It was the Void Shield Generator. It was a nice big tower with like AdMech clockwork wheels and stuff like that. At the top was this orb, and it created a shield of, I think it was X amount of inches. I want to say 6 inches, 12 inches, 9 inches, something like that. You know, oh my gosh, I'm starting to sound like somebody else. It was 6 inches, 12 inches, 9 inches. But yeah, it was an amount away from the piece of terrain. And everybody would get like I think it was a 4-pin bowl within that piece of, within range of that piece of terrain. It was very cool. I love the thought process of it. And as I learned to airbrush, I'm like, okay, well, the rules were always cool, as long as for the short time it was around. But I always remember thinking later on, as I learned to airbrush, like, oh man, I loved that piece of terrain that had that cool thing. I always wanted one because, I always thought my long things could sit up there and snipe, and that would be really cool. They'd be protected while they were up there shooting their shots. And hey, with all the firstborn leaving, it's a chance to start Horus Heresy. That is true. That is true. I just don't feel like learning a new rule system. I've tried, and plus it's not very frequently played around here. Unfortunately, like anything that's not 40K officially, my local group got into it very heavily, and then they moved on to something else. And like I still see pickup games in the chat once in a while for it, but it's not really a big part of the local scene anymore. But I still kind of want to. I still have some pieces for a firstborn heresy. I've still got Leviathan. I still got some tanks, my Sicarans. I still got a lot of firstborn stuff. So, it might be something to come up. But anyways, yeah, so I wanted to paint up a Void Shield Generator, but now, after I learned to paint them up, they became rare, and they're just too expensive to get my hands on. But at some point, if I could find one for not a fortune, I want to pick up a Void Shield Generator. Even though, again, it no longer has rules. But saying all that to say, yeah, those terrain pieces, those fortifications, those bunkers are never good for anything more than terrain very often. Which, I mean, if you want to pick up a bunker now that it has no rules, you might be able to find them for pretty cheap on eBay. And then you could just paint it up as a piece of terrain. That'd be cool. But as something with rules, the support for fortifications and buildings and stuff like that, very quickly discontinued. Very quickly discontinued. Or, in the case of the Hammerfall bunker, it got nerfed soon after it came out. Nobody took them, and then eventually it was discontinued. So, it goes both ways. You can get a Void Shield Generator from Recasters. I did not know that. Might have to hit you up for the hookup. All right, so what else are we losing, guys? The suppressors are another surprising one, being a Primaris unit that for some reason, like, they were never great. They were all, they were decent, like this edition and I think last edition. Yeah. Auto cannons being damage 3, really nice. Even if with, only AP 1, they don't see, they're often, people make their saves against it, but still, when that damage sneaks through and it's damage 3, it's really good. Plus, just having these units that can drop down and shoot from afar. Well, one reason why people always dislike them is because autocannons are heavy, so if they move, they hit on 4s. But if they stand still, they're not using their jump pack. So it was always like, what's the point? But I always thought $20 for a void shield generator. Oh my god! Yeah, you got to give me the hooker, brother. That is crazy. But yeah, I always thought they were cool models. Unfortunately, I had 3 at some point, and I found some of my missing models, but I only found a little baggie of one of my suppressors. So, I might, try and find 2 more at some point, just to have a squad. Maybe bulk out my Inceptor squad to a 6-man. Because in my White Scars, I have the Bolter Inceptors, and in my Ultramarines, I've got the Plasma ones. Excuse me, real quick, y'all. There we go. Had to mute myself real quick. All right, so that is one of the big changes. All the stuff we're losing. Let's see. Our friend Frankie says, all of the Rhino chassis leaving sucks. I prefer the tracked vehicles to the floaty tanks. I felt that way initially, but after having painted up some, and I'm going to be honest, I have absolutely fallen in love with the Executioner as one of my favorite tanks. I have grown, the floating tanks have grown on me. I still really like the tracked vehicles, but definitely the floating tanks have grown on me. I think I could easily go both ways. But it is pretty clear. You'll notice the only tracked tank here is the Rhino, that has not been taken, is the Rhino and the Land Raider. And it feels very likely that those are coming back, especially since anyone who may have seen the video where they talked about these changes before they posted this, they were standing in front of the Rhino at Warhammer World, and the guy was wearing a Land Raider shirt. I say, I'm tugging at my own shirt, like, All Might coffee shirt, All Might coffee, made with 100% quirk beans. Yeah, the guy was wearing a Land Raider shirt and standing in front of the Warhammer World Rhino. So, for those of you who love tracked vehicles, it looks like they'll be staying around. Obviously, it'll probably get upsized, Primaris-sized. I hope that we'll still be able to use our original Rhinos and Land Raiders. They'll probably change some loadout on them that will make that a little less viable. If I'm being, tinfoil hat. But we'll see. We'll see. Then again, with the drop pod, they kept the drop pod dimensions similar enough that you can still run your old drop pods. So maybe they'll do us that favor when it comes to the Rhinos and the Land Raider. Land Raider's already pretty chunky. I don't think that one needs an upsize, honestly. But we'll see what happens. I have 2 Gladiators, 2 Impulsors, and I like the models. I just think the track tanks feels more Space Marine. Fair enough. Fair enough. They do, I can definitely agree there because, the Land Raider and the Rhino are like icons of Space Marines, They're definitely iconic. All right, moving on to the other big news. Losses, that is definitely big. But the other big news are buffs that are incoming, and I kind of like this. So something we talked about on the show last week when we started talking about losses is the way that with the Devastators and the Tacticals and the Whirlwind and a lot of other things that have gone away, they are so classic and iconic, they carefully nerf them just a little bit every edition to where nobody really cares about them anymore. Okay, not nobody. There's still a lot of diehard fans that are they still need to do Primaris Tacticals because Intercessors are not Tacticals, which is fine-ish. I'm not too fussed about having one heavy weapon in every squad, but because a lot of the times when I was playing older editions and running Tactical Marines, that one last cannon in the squad would miss or not go through for some reason, and it would just be basically the same as taking your bolter guys anyways. I mean, I'm not too fussed about it. You know, the captain still has his plasma pistol, or I mean, sergeant still has his plasma pistol. I'm not too fussed about the tacticals, but you can tell for several editions they made tacticals a little worse, devastators a little worse, and then now they've taken them away without a big blowback. And I feel like we've seen that coming for some time now. And I feel like they did that to cushion the blow for us for the eventual retiring of those miniatures. But also one of the things I think they did to cushion the blow was give us some big news on buffs for the army as they taketh away. The GW giveth and the GW taketh away. So here we can see the big news is that all Marines, well, the majority of Marines in tactical armor are going to Toughness 5. Toughness 5 is a pretty big change. A lot of people say it's not going to be that big, but if you think about it, Toughness 5 is big because an overcharged plasma is no longer doubling you to wound on 2s. A Melta is no longer doubling you to wound on 2s. And of course, a lot of things that are strength 4 weapons are, going to be that we're wounding you on 4s are going to 5s now, with the exception of other bolters. But we'll talk about that here in a minute. So all the Marine armor going to, all the tactical Marine armor going to Toughness 5, huge. That is going to be a big buff. They are now going to be as hardy as Orc Boys, which is interesting. Now, they're also buffing their weapons. So this is going to be interesting. We see that bolt rifles are now going to have 2 different methods of firing. Okay, you have your saturation fire, which is they're both still going to be 24 inches. They're both still going to be rapid fire 1. If you do the focus fire, it's going to gain the heavy keyword. So if you move 3 inches or less, you'll get +1 to hit. So you'll be hitting on 2s. And it's going to be strength 6, AP1, 2 damage. Getting 2 damage on a basic weapon is huge, I think. Strength 6, fantastic. And then, of course, you have your saturation, which you're getting 2 shots instead of the 1. And if you're in rapid fire range, you'll be getting 3 shots, which is nice. Strength 5, -1, 1 damage. And strength 5, -1, 1 damage is going to be the basic bolter profile. So they said even anything down to a bolt pistol will still have the strength 5, -1, 1 damage. That is pretty awesome. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Bolt weapons in general are getting an upgrade. You'll notice with the toughness increase, not only are their guns getting punchier, but one of the common things has always been Marine on Marine violence, right? So typically if you're fighting Marines, Marine on Marine, you're both strength 4, you're both toughness 4, you're both wounding on 4s, right? So in that same vein, you can see here the basic strength of Marines has gone up to 5. So whether you're fighting with chain swords or you're fighting with your close combat weapons, still going to be strength 5. Chain sword's still going to be -1. Both are going to be 1 damage. So yeah, you're getting stronger. And to me, this feels a little bit more like the way space. I read a lot of Imperial Guard books, so this feels a little bit more of like how much more than human Space Marines are in the lore. Now, dropping to things in lighter armor, like your Phobos guys, they're going to stay toughness 4, and I imagine by extension that means the scouts. They're going to stay at toughness 4, but their movement is going to go to 8 inches. And man, the things I would give to have 8 inches of movement in my Phobos, if you know what I mean. So Phobos are going to be your fast troops now. And Terminators are getting beefier as well. I don't know why. Nobody takes Belial, and I just kind of feel sorry seeing Belial stand amidst all these Deathwing guys. Just because I feel like he's so underutilized. Don't get me wrong. I mean, just like his rules aren't anything crazy that would make you take him over standard captain. But yeah, he just seems so underutilized. But okay, so anyways, Terminators are going to toughness 6. Now I'm really curious. Toughness 6 is again going to be a nice big boost, especially they're showing them here with the Deathwing, and don't Deathwing still have like some rule of being -1 to wound if your strength is higher than their toughness or something? And I know the Wolfguard Terminators have a similar rule. So being tough, going up to toughness 6 and then getting -1 to wound, that's going to be some beefiness for sure. Now, one of the things I'm very curious about in this comparison, though, is that there was always been a balance with aggressors and terminators. Okay, aggressors got 1 more toughness. Okay, but terminators had the better save. They were only toughness 5, but they were 2 up save, 4 up invul save, right? Or is it 5 up invul save? No, it's 4 up invul save. Anyways, terminators got an invul save and their 2 up save. So with that, it's like that was kind of the balance. Aggressors were only, or aggressives, Gravis armor was only 3 up armor save, no invul save, but their defense was being toughness 6. Now with Terminators going up to toughness 6, is Gravis just going to be a worse version of Terminator armor? Or is there still going to be that separation? Is Gravis going to get something to buff their defense? I'm very curious to see, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. A lot of people are, have a nostalgic attachment to Terminators and thus prefer Terminators. And I have no such compunction. I came in at the end of 7th, so I'm Primaris all the way. Except for my cavalry. I love my cavalry. But I prefer the look of Gravis over Terminator armor. And if they don't do anything to buff, Gravis armor, and it's just a worse version of Terminators, it's almost going to feel like, what's the point? They're going to feel like the stepchild. And then I'll be very concerned, because we see that they're purging Primaris units, and if they just make aggressors and other Gravis units worse to go into the next edition, they might be the next purge. So I'm very concerned for Gravis. I honestly, out of all the Marks of Space Marine armor, currently prefer Gravis. That's why, even though like Marnie's Calgar got a new Terminator armor model, I'm sticking with my Gravis Calgar because I just like the way Gravis looks. So anyways, I'm real interested to see where that goes. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion. Most people love Terminator over Gravis. And that's fair. Everybody's got their opinion, and I know that I'm in the minority of that opinion. But just out of the different types of armor there are at the moment, I'd rather have the aggressors. And so I don't want to see them nerfed out and become less viable because Terminators are just going to be the better version of them. What do you guys think that they're going to do with the toughness of other things in the Marine Codex? Gravis is one example I'm giving. Bikes were already T5. I think Cavalry was T6. Yes, Cavalry was T6. Do you guys think that those toughnesses are going up as well? Or do you think that they'll be happy enough to say, you know what? Terminator should be as tough as a guy on a bike? Okay, there's an argument that they're more armored and whatnot and slower moving. I don't know. I'm interested to see where all this goes. What do you guys think about the viability of Phobos going to 8 inches of movement? Are we going to see a mass return of things on the battlefield, of things like your infiltrators and what are the other ones? Infiltrators and incursors. Do you think people are going to start using more reavers? I don't know. I do have a very seldom taken squad of reavers in my white scars. They're kind of cool because they've got things like commas and katana, a little conversion on them with some third-party bits. But yeah, I'm really excited. Going to bed. Have a good night. Good night, Ashley. Good night, Greg. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Oh, live show this weekend, guys? Y'all going to do a live this weekend? I know you were debating it last weekend. All right, guys. That kind of brings us to the end of the show. That is all the news I have for tonight. And I'd definitely love to hear y'all's thoughts. Let me know what you guys are going to miss the most out of the losses that we are taking. Let me know what you guys think about the toughness. And going back to the beginning of the show, I'd really like to hear your guys' thoughts on who your childhood heroes might have been, as Peter Culling was definitely a huge one of mine. So it's been a great discussion tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you guys liked tonight's show, then please make sure that you grab up an axe and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below. Feel free to answer any of those questions and be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations. Hey, Inquisitor, I hope you're doing well, my friend. If you guys are not yet subscribed to myself or any of our other friends here, then if they keep the screen ability of the incursors, I think I'm into it. Yeah. Oh, I think the infiltrators are the anti-screen. I think incursors are the ones that help you hit one better, that help your hit roll. If you guys are not yet subscribed to this channel or any of our friends, like the ones Nightbot has been plugging in the corner or listed down below, then we would love to have you as part of the pack here on Wolfbrother Hobbies. So subscribe. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.